attorneys please enter their appearances for the record, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Alice Smith, and I am here on behalf of Ms. Barbara Richards.
Good morning, Ms. Smith. Opposing counsel?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Amy Brown, and I'm here for Mr. Richards.
Great, thank you. All right, Ms. Smith, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would call Ms. Barbara Richards. Your Honor, Ms. Richards is deaf, and we have 3 interpreters helping us today: Jennifer Storr, Trenton Marsh, and Posh McCombs.
Right. Ms. Richards, if you'll just come to the stand, please. Please be seated and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, under penalty of perjury, that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. All right, are the interpreters all okay? Can everybody see okay?
We can, Your Honor.
If there are any problems, just let me know. Thank you.
May I proceed? Judge?
Yes, please do.
Please state your full name for the record.
Barbara Ann Richards,
And where do you reside?
Golden, Colorado,
And what is the exact address?
1592 West East in Golden, Colorado, 84003.
Are you deaf?
Yes.
How long have you been deaf? Since when?
Since the age of 12 when I contracted meningitis.
Can you understand me and the questions I'm asking you through the interpreters?
Yes.
What is your age?
35.
And how old is your husband?
37.
Is your husband deaf also?
Yes.
As to the marriage, were there any children of this marriage?
Yes, one child.
And what is the name and age of that child?
My daughter's name is Sarah Richards, and
And does she reside in the home?
yes.
Is Sarah deaf?
Yes, since birth.
And at the present time, do both you and your husband still reside in the home?
Yes.
Okay, now, can you tell the court about your educational background, please?
I was in a mainstream public school. It was actually a Catholic school. I went to high school and graduated. Then I attended Gallaudet University and graduated in 1988.
Absolutely. If you'll tell the court, please, where you went to school and how much schooling you've had.
So I went to 2 schools. I went to high school, and then I attended college and graduated from both.
have a major at Gallaudet?
It's a liberal arts school, the only liberal arts school in the world.
And is that specifically for the deaf?
Yes,
And did you major in elementary education there?
yes.
Now, when were you married?
1988.
And where did you get married?
Golden, Colorado.
You filed an application with this court for custody of your child, is that correct?
Yes.
And if the court were to grant you custody of your child, where would you like to live with your daughter?
I'd stay in Denver, Colorado, in that area.
And if possible, would you like to live in the same home that you're living in now?
Yes, because it's close enough to the airport, it's a nice area, I'd like to stay there.
And can you describe to the court the house that you currently live in?
It's a very nice home in a nice area. It has 3 bedrooms. It's a ranch style home.
Are there any rooms besides bedrooms?
Oh, kitchen, living room, family room, a recreation area in the basement so that friends can come over and spend time together.
And is Sarah happy? Oh, excuse me, sorry. Is Sarah happy living in that home?
Oh yes, very happy.
And if you'll describe for the court the neighborhood that you live in.
I live in a cul-de-sac, and it's a very safe area with low traffic. We know all the children in the neighborhood. It's a very nice home in a nice area.
Are you also happy living there?
Yes,
And are you employed at the present time?
yes.
How are you employed?
I work at Ralston Elementary School. I'm a resource teacher for the deaf and hard of hearing there.
And what time do you leave for work in the morning?
Typically around 8, 8:10 in the morning.
How many days a week do you go to work?
5 days a week.
And what time do you generally leave that work to come home?
Approximately 3:10. As soon as I get everything cleaned up, at the latest 4 o'clock is when I get home.
Now, how do you coordinate that with
interpreter asked for clarification.
How do you coordinate your schedule
In the
with
morning,
Sarah's schedule?
in the morning and afternoon?
In the morning and
Thank
evening.
you.
I typically leave before Sarah to go to school. We get breakfast and everything ready, and then I go to work. And she's only there for a few minutes until it's time for her to leave and go. She's there and arrives home about half an hour before I do at 4 o'clock.
And if the court were to grant you custody, how would you handle that situation if you and Sarah were to live where you are now?
I don't think we would make any changes because it's working out well in the mornings. And I do have a neighbor who can watch her for the half hour in the afternoons until I get home. So I don't envision that to be an issue.
And this neighbor is a friend of yours?
Yes,
And she takes care of Sarah for that half an hour or so that she would be home alone at the end of the day?
yes,
At the present time, the neighbor does not come in the morning, is that correct?
correct. My husband's typically there to make sure that she finishes eating before she takes off for school.
Do you have any flexibility in your teaching time in the event that Sarah were to become ill, or you would have to be home with her for any particular reason?
Yes, when I was employed, when I was hired, that was discussed that I would be able to stay home if she were to be ill.
And would they then get a substitute teacher to cover your class?
Yes, a substitute would be provided to cover my class.
Now, who prepares the meals in your home?
I do. I prepare the meals.
And how many meals a day does Sarah have at home?
Typically 2, because she has lunch at school, but I do pack her lunch for that.
May the interpreter ask for clarification?
Yes, please.
Yes, I provide additional snacks.
Thank you. Now, what does Sarah have for breakfast?
She typically eats cereal or oatmeal, sometimes pancakes, waffles, a variety of things. If I have time, then I'll get something going and cooking while I get ready.
And does she serve herself then?
My husband's home and he helps make sure that she's eating.
And how about dinner?
I cook dinner in the evenings.
And what time do you generally have dinner?
Around 5 or 5:30, sometimes 6.
And does your husband come home for dinner?
The majority of the time
And
he
do the
does.
three of you have dinner together, a family meal?
Yes, we do.
And what kind of dinners do you generally serve at your home?
Just your regular stuff. I'll have a meat, a vegetable, potato.
Does Sarah like that?
Oh, yes.
Now, who shops for the food?
I do the shopping for the household.
And where do you usually shop?
Mostly the Safeway. It's right near my home.
Does your husband ever shop for the dinner table?
Not typically. If he gets home from work, sometimes he'll stop and pick up things on his way, but I generally do most of the shopping.
Can you describe Sarah's table manners?
She has good table manners. I mean, she's still young, so she's still learning, but she's doing well.
On weekends, does she ever eat out for any of her meals?
Not typically. Occasionally we'll go out to eat, or occasionally she'll go out with friends or family to like a burger place or something like that, but generally we eat at home.
And can you describe Sarah's cleanliness, her personal habits?
See, well, she's young, and so I still need to keep an eye on that, but she's generally pretty good about bathing 3 or 4 times a week, and she keeps herself clean.
How do you know that she showers 3 or 4 times a week?
Because I'm there when she goes in for her bath, either in the evenings or the morning.
And can you describe her bedroom for the court, please?
Her bedroom? Well, she's young, so it looks like a young child's bedroom. She's got a nice bed, and I help her get her clothes and get them hung up. As all children do, sometimes she'll throw her clothes on the floor or something like that.
Are you pretty comfortable with the way that she keeps her bedroom?
Yes. I'm satisfied with how she cleans it. I mean, she's a child, and for her age, I'm satisfied. Comfortable.
How about your husband? Is he comfortable with the way Sarah keeps her bedroom?
He doesn't really go in there very much, but I would assume if he did, he'd be okay with it.
So he's never complained to you about that situation?
No.
Miss Richards, I would direct your attention to the child's medical situation. Does Sarah have a pediatrician, a doctor?
Yes, she does. Dr. Oscar Winder is her doctor.
And where is that office located?
Locally, at 104 and Y Street.
Is that in the Golden Medical Building, that area?
Yes, it is.
And who takes Sarah to the doctor when she has to go?
I do, typically.
So do you know the doctor personally?
Yes, I mean, I don't have intimate knowledge of him, but I have a regular parent-doctor relationship with him.
And how do you communicate with, how does Sarah communicate with the doctor?
Well, we have an interpreter who's there, and so the interpreter interprets for us during the appointments.
And would you just give the court a rough guess of how many times you've been to that doctor's office with Sarah over the years?
At least 50 times.
Has your husband ever been to the doctor's office?
No,
Does Sarah have any special medical problems?
no,
Does she have any problem with her eyes?
yes. Now we're going to a doctor for her vision. But they can't figure out quite what's wrong. So right now they're working on trying to get a diagnosis.
Is there anything particularly serious about that that can't be cured, or is that something you're working on?
Yeah, at this point we still don't know what's going on. We're working on
How
it.
about dental? Does she go regularly for dental checkups?
She typically goes twice a year.
And who takes her to those?
I do.
Does she have any prescriptions that she takes on a regular basis?
No, not at this point. When she's sick, I'll give her something like, antibiotic or ibuprofen or whatever she needs.
if she needed those, say antibiotics, who would give those to her?
I do. Because I know when she's supposed to take it and the time she's supposed to take it next, all of that information.
And how do you order these prescriptions?
I call in through a video relay service, which means I have an interpreter through the telephone, and I can see them on the screen, and we do refills that way.
And can you explain a little more about that service to the judge, please? What is VRS?
I have an interpreter that I can see on my screen, and that interpreter calls in to the doctor and speaks to them on the phone, and then interprets the conversation. So I can see the interpreter signing, and she tells me what's being said, and then speaks what I'm signing.
Have you taught Sarah how to use this in case of emergency?
Yes, we've practiced using the VRS service, even if there's a 911 call or how to contact me or family members.
Okay. Now, in the past several years, has Sarah ever had to stay home for several days at a time?
Just so I can clarify, are you asking how many times I left her there alone?
No, has she been ill? And has it been required that she needs to be home? And if so, who would stay home with her?
Your Honor, I believe that the previous interpretation was inaccurate, so I'd
Okay.
like to reinterpret that question.
Please do.
Oh, yes, I'm the one that stays home with her if she needs to stay home for a few days while sick.
And did that cause any problem with your employment?
No, not at all.
Who purchases Sarah's clothes?
I do.
And where would you buy those?
I go to a number of places: Kohl's, JCPenney's, Macy's, Old Navy. So there's a multiple places where I would go.
And if I were to ask you Sarah's precise sizes, what she actually is wearing today, would you be able to tell that to the court?
Of course, yes.
Now, if I were to ask your husband at this moment the same question, would he know the size of Sarah's clothing?
Your Honor, I object. That's highly speculative.
Overruled. Ms. Richards, you may answer that question.
No, he wouldn't know what size clothing she wears.
And is that because he doesn't do the shopping for her?
Correct.
Now, as to other household chores, who does the laundry, the mending, the sewing?
I do. I don't know how to mend clothes, but I do the laundry.
But as to Sarah, would that, Sarah's clothes or things,
Oh, yes, yes.
thank you. Now, let's talk about her education. What school does Sarah attend at the present time?
She goes to the Rocky Mountain School for the Deaf. They're in Golden.
And, what kind of school is that?
It's a bilingual, bicultural school.
And what grade is she in?
6th grade.
Have you been to the school
Oh, yes.
often?
From time to time, when we have parent-teacher conferences and things like that, I go. I went more often the first 3 or 4 months to make sure everything was moving along well.
Is Sarah having any particular problems outside or whatever a normal situation might be?
No.
How's she doing grade-wise?
She's doing well in school, very well.
Does she like her school?
Yes, she's very happy.
Does she like her classmates?
Yeah, she brings friends home, so I'm assuming she likes the school and her friends.
And does she like her teachers?
Yes,
Does she generally have homework?
yes,
Are her teachers, if I can back up a minute, are her teachers fluent in sign language?
oh yes, very fluent. And it's great that the teacher can work directly with her in her language.
And if we can move on then to homework, does she have homework and who works with her when she's doing that homework?
I do. I sit and do homework with her. Particularly since my major was education, I find great value in that, so I help her with her homework.
Objection, Your Honor. Please direct the witness to respond to the question.
All right, Ms. Richards, if you could just respond to the question that was asked of you.
Okay, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you or your husband ever read to her? children's plays, anything like that?
Well, the school typically takes her to plays and field trips and things of that nature each year, and so it seems to be sufficient.
And were those plays interpreted for her?
Oh yes, they have interpreters that attend the field trips.
How about television?
We don't watch TV that much. We tend to read more than we watch TV.
What is your husband's position regarding television?
His position is similar to mine.
Has Sarah had any religious training?
Yeah, she goes to Sunday school at our church.
And do you and your husband agree on Sarah's religious training?
Well, yes, there's always been a hope that we could go together to church, but my husband doesn't attend. He has a hard time getting up in the mornings, so most of the time it's just Sarah and I going to church together.
Does Sarah have birthday parties?
Yes,
Who's the organizer for those birthday parties?
I do. I'm pretty much the organizer.
Can you describe for the court the last birthday party that you organized?
She invited 7 of her friends from school and neighborhood friends, and they had a party. They ate lunch together. We had cake, played games, and just had fun.
How about your health? Are you healthy?
Oh yes, I am.
And what do you know about your husband's health?
I think he's healthy as well.
Do you have any particular talents of your own?
Can you maybe rephrase that question?
I know you you earned your degree and you work with children. Would you consider those special talents to work with children?
Yes. Yes, I have that degree and that's my expertise because I feel that's very important.
Now, if I were to ask you to describe in some detail a typical weekday, one day of the week with you, your husband, and your child, from the moment that person gets up in the household until the end of the day, when the last person goes to sleep, would you be able to do that for the court?
yes, I could.
And the same for the weekend. If I were to ask you a typical day on a Saturday or a Sunday, what that typical schedule is, would you be able to do that?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Richards, there was an allegation made by your husband that you have a serious drinking problem. Are you aware of that allegation?
Yes.
Would you tell the court about that situation?
I've been sober for 12 months. Prior to that, I did have a drinking problem. I think just because I felt criticized and oppressed by my husband so much, and due to the stress, I was overwhelmed and couldn't handle it.
At this point, have you stopped altogether?
Yes. Yes, I've been sober for 12 months.
Does Sarah love her father?
Oh yes, definitely she loves her father.
And how would you describe her relationship with her father?
They have a good relationship.
Can you please tell the court what kind of relationship you have with her?
We have a good relationship. I think we're very close. We're able to talk to each other about anything, and she knows that she can ask me any question and that I'll always be there for her.
Do you believe that Sarah would be better off in your custody than in the custody of your husband?
Yes, with me.
And please tell the judge why.
I feel like I'm the one that does the shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, keeping things together at home and taking care of Sarah. And so I feel like she should continue to live with me in that environment.
And if you were awarded custody, would you encourage the relationship between Sarah and her father?
Yes, definitely, I would.
There Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Norman. Ms. Brown, do you have cross-examination?
I do. Good morning, Ms. Richards. Ms. Richards, you say you're employed as a teacher, is that correct?
Yes.
And you have pretty rigid hours?
Yes.
You leave pretty early in the morning, is that correct?
Yes.
You leave before Sarah gets to school?
Yes. But my husband's there to see her off to school.
Okay, just to be exact, you leave about 45 minutes before she goes to school, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in bad weather, you're not around to take her to school, are you?
I don't.
But your husband is around and able to do that, is that correct?
Yes.
His hours are flexible, is that right?
Yes.
So he can adjust his hours to Sarah's schedule, whatever she needs, is that correct?
More or less, yes.
Okay, and if Sarah's sick while you're at school, have you told us that you can just take off from work at any time and that's okay?
If she's sick, really sick, yes, I can leave and go take care of her.
And this doesn't affect your job security?
No.
Now, switching gears, you've testified that you had a drinking problem, is that correct?
Yes.
And it affected your home life, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, was Sarah aware of your drinking problem?
Objection, Your Honor. There's been no showing of a problem.
Will the interpreter please strike the word problem? And then Ms. Richards, you may please answer the question.
Interpreter requests that you re-ask the question.
Sure, was Sarah aware of your drinking problem?
And this takes
Oh,
us
I'm
back to
sorry.
the original issue. If you could just rephrase your
Sure,
question.
I'm sorry about that.
That's fine, go ahead.
Was Sarah aware of your drinking concerns or your drinking patterns or habits?
I'm not sure she was aware of it. I doubt it.
Well, isn't it true that Sarah had a birthday party once at which you started drinking and became intoxicated, and you called all the children's parents to pick them up from the birthday party? Is that correct?
No, I didn't do that. I don't recall.
You don't?
No.
Okay, is it true that you've had problems controlling your emotions when you've been drinking?
Yes.
like the court to believe that all of a sudden, a year ago, you just stopped drinking.
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions at this time.
All right. Ms. Smith, do you have any additional witnesses?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I would call Dr. Marshall as the next witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Richards, you may step down. Thank you, ma'am. The court will next call Dr. Marshall, is that correct?